Hi everyone, I hope you have enjoyed your winter vacation wherever you may be. As we head into the home stretch, let's take just a few minutes to focus on the Haftarah for this coming Shabbat's Parshat Vayigash. Whenever we talk about a Haftarah, the first thing we always have to do is go over the Parsha and make sure that we know what's happening there. This Parsha contains a story that's very well known to us. It describes in detail what the end of the story of Yosef. Beginning right dramatically where the Parsha left off, Yehuda pleads to Yosef that Binyamin be allowed to go, and Yehuda stay enslaved because how could he possibly go home without bringing Binyamin, who would kill his father? And this moment causes Yosef to finally reveal himself to his brothers, and the brothers have a happy reunion. The brothers return home. They bring Yaakov back to Mitzrayim. Yaakov, we find out later, lives in Mitzrayim for 17 years. He settles himself and his family in the land of Goshen. He meets with Paro and generally is able to live comfortably while surviving the continuing famine, which rages on for another 5 years, the Torah tells us. So this is a very short synopsis of the Parsha. The Haftarah comes from the book of Yechezkel. This passage in the book of Yechezkel describes the end of what's going to be of the 10 tribes. As you may be aware, after the Malchut of Shlomo, the kingdom of Israel is split into the 10 tribes, sometimes called the Northern Kingdom or Malchut Israel, and the other 2 tribes, which are Yehuda and Binyamin, usually referred to as Malchut Yehuda. They lived separately. Yerovam ben Navat was the founding king in Malchut Israel, and they generally, Israel, are not following Hashem in the appropriate manner. Yehuda have plenty of times where they commit sins also, but their histories are largely on separate paths, and at times there are even threats of them going to war with one another. The 10 tribes were destroyed a couple of hundred years before the 2 Shvatim were, and their history, they have been largely lost to history. This particular Nevuah talks about a destruction of the 10 Shvatim, contrasted with the 2 Sheva of Yehuda and Binyamin, which are not going to be destroyed, at least just yet. But what's noteworthy about this is that even though there is reference to the 10 tribes on the one hand and the 2 tribes on the other, what is still clear is that Yosef, Shevet Yosef, is singled out as being slightly different from the other 10 Shvatim. Now, in the context of the story, it's clear that the reason is because Yeravam ben Navat was some Shevet Ephraim, was one of the 2 Shvatim that come from Yosef, and this is actually singled out as a bad thing. But in our Parsha, we're reminded that it's actually a good thing, because we're reminded about the distinction that took place from Yosef. That even though Yosef and his brothers were united, they always, because Yosef came off on a different path, and because he was in a position to help his brothers, there always is that slight distinction between them that we need to be mindful of. And if we think about it, the connection to the Parsha is obvious. On the one hand, we are reminded, even after they reunite, the connection between Yosef and his brothers and the fact that he was separate from them throughout his life is obvious to us, and it's something we have to keep in mind. We have to remember what can go wrong when there are flaws in relationships with other people. But on the other hand, there is another less obvious connection. The Parsha reminds us, the end, the Haftarah reminds us at the end, no matter what happens, everything that's going on, everything we are doing, Hashem is still in control. And even though Yosef was in charge of his brothers, and even though the kingdom had fallen apart, and even all sorts of things, it is Hashem who is in control once and for all, that reminds us that everything we need to do. Just a message to take away with her as we go into the last days of vacation and beyond, that no matter what it is that happens, it is still Hashem first, last, and always control of what goes on in the world. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of your vacation. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we will see you back in school on Tuesday for Asara B'Tevet.